Okay, Dan Hardy, obviously we've heard news of GSP retiring, officially retiring. What's your reaction to that news?
Yeah, I'm disappointed as a fan because there are still lots of fights I'd like to see GSP in, but you know, if it was up to me, we'd be fighting every weekend, so that's not ideal. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he was able to find his moment to go out, to call it a day, to leave with 2 championship belts and 2 weight classes, an amazing career behind him. I think it's incredible. I think there are so few fighters that not only achieve what he's achieved, but then step out before it is too late. And he's an intelligent individual, and he's got a lot of brain power he can now dedicate to something else. And I hope some of that's coaching. It'd be a real value to coaching.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously you have experience or history with him back at UFC 111. So can you talk a little bit about maybe some fond memories of that time?
Yeah, it was difficult when I was facing him because obviously, I mean, he was a huge favourite. He was, as far as everybody was concerned, the pound for pound best at the time. And the other thing, I relied a lot on getting inside people's heads, on trying to expose weaknesses in their psychology before the fight, so I could, find weaknesses and openings in the fight. And GSP was one of the most difficult to do that with. He's a closed book. He doesn't let anything away. There was one moment that stands out to me through the whole time that I was training and preparing for him, and that was when I escaped the armbar in the first round. And I remember standing up and I looked in his face, and it was the first time and only time I saw him just show any kind of emotion. It was like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, And just for that moment, I saw his face change. But then after that, it was back to game plan, and it was incredible to. I mean, it was frustrating at the time, I'll be honest, but it was incredible to witness somebody that's such a high-level athlete, that's prepared so well, that's so professional, and then he's able to figure out a game plan and then apply it so well without really deviating at all. And then, training with him afterwards as well. I helped him for, I think, the Diaz fight and the Condit fight. And he's just the nicest guy. He's just, he's down to earth. He's on the mats early. He's helping other people out. And yeah, he's a massive value to the sport. I hope we can keep him close.
And, well, he did want that fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov. And Khabib did show an interest in wanting that fight as well. He said shortly after the retirement announcement that he was up for that fight in November, but the UFC doesn't seem to want to book that. He did, however, say in the press conference that if the UFC was to call him, obviously for that fight, that he wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that could happen?
I think it could happen, absolutely. I think the concern, honestly, from the UFC's part is if they bring GSP back and he beats Khabib, then they've just destroyed another champion. And the likelihood is that that's what would happen. Khabib is an excellent fighter, there's no doubt about it. In the lightweight division, he dominates everybody with few problems. Maybe like a Tony Ferguson or someone like that, perhaps. But the difference with GSP is he's basically what Khabib does to people, but in a more technical way. Khabib works a lot on instinct. There's a lot of dragging people to the ground, breaking their base down. GSP has a system of breaking people down, and from one technique to another, he can change so quickly. And I feel like because he had a good foundation in wrestling when he was a champion, he was able to build on his striking skills to complement that. And so I think even if we look towards the later part of his career, I think his striking got a lot better, and that for me is always been that's been the deficit in Khabib's game, which I've not seen change a great deal. He's tweaked a few things, he's got a bit better, but I feel like if he's against someone like GSP, who's bigger, who's got good wrestling, able to defend takedowns, keep it on the feet, and then apply some striking, I think GSP is a difficult fight for anybody, particularly if you're going down weight classes. I mean, we saw what he did to Michael Bisping. He doesn't look small at middleweight, and I don't feel like he's big enough necessarily to make a big impact at welterweight. So to come up against GSP, I think it's a good thing for everybody that he's retired.
Okay, lovely.